Steelers Nation, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's huge update, let me remind you, our Pittsburgh Steelers are always striving to improve, to sharpen every detail, and to give the fans the kind of results this city demands. And just like the team is working to get better every day, I'm working to bring you the very best Steelers news and updates right here. So do me a quick favor, hit that like button to support the channel, and let's get into what could be a major turning point in the season. Because after a wild first month of football, with highs, lows, and some injury scares that had us all nervous, we just got a big piece of encouraging news. The Steelers could be getting 3 starters back right after the bye week. And folks, if this holds true, it could completely reshape how this team looks heading into a critical stretch of games. According to insider Ray Fittipaldo of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the expectation is that Alex Highsmith, Joey Porter Jr., and Jaylen Warren will all be available when the Steelers take the field in Week 6 against the Cleveland Browns. Now, if you've been following closely, you know all 3 of these guys are absolutely vital to the Steelers' success. Highsmith brings pressure opposite T.J. Watt. Porter Jr. is the young cornerback this team needs desperately with Jalen Ramsey out, and Warren has been the spark plug in the running game since last season. Fittipaldo broke this down on the Pomp and Joe show on 93.7 The Fan, saying Porter was already close to returning last week but held out as a precaution, while both Highsmith and Warren should be good to go after the bye. This isn't just good news, it's season-changing news. Let me explain why. Let's start with Joey Porter Jr. With Ramsey sidelined, the Steelers' secondary has been in survival mode. Veteran Darius Slay has been doing his best, but asking him to be a lockdown CB1 week in and week out at this stage of his career is asking too much. Porter Jr. stepping back in means the Steelers can line up with 2 legit starter-level corners instead of patching things together with guys playing out of position. His length, physicality, and ability to press at the line of scrimmage make a massive difference. This isn't just about surviving. It's about competing against elite AFC North wide receivers like Amari Cooper and Jamar Chase. If Porter Jr. is back and playing like the rising star we know he can be, that's a huge sigh of relief for this defense. Now let's talk about Alex Highsmith. Look, we all know T.J. Watt is the heartbeat of this defense, but Watt is at his absolute best when he has a legitimate threat on the other side, and Highsmith provides exactly that. Without him, offenses can focus all their protection on Watt, double teams, chips, everything you can throw at him. With Highsmith back, that balance returns. Offensive lines have to pick their poison. And more often than not, when Watt and Highsmith are both healthy and rolling, it means the Steelers are getting after the quarterback, forcing turnovers and flipping games on their head. Think back to last season. How many big wins started with pressure off the edge? That's the identity of Steelers football. Highsmith's return restores that identity. And then there's Jaylen Warren. He was a late scratch against the Vikings with a nagging injury, and we saw Kenneth Gainwell step up and rack up 99 rushing yards. That was great to see, but make no mistake, Warren brings a different juice to this offense. Through the first 3 weeks, he was showing highlight reel cuts and breaking tackles even when the offensive line wasn't giving him much room. Now, with the line finally starting to gel, plugging Warren back in could be the missing piece that takes this running game to the next level. And if you pair that with Aaron Rodgers continuing to build chemistry with George Pickens and the rest of the receivers, Steelers Nation, we could be looking at a group that finally starts to match the defense in terms of impact. But let's not ignore the other side of the coin. In Week 4, against the Vikings in Dublin, the Steelers almost let a 24-6 lead slip away because of, you guessed it, defensive miscommunication. Jordan Addison slipped free for an 81-yard catch and nearly flipped the game upside down. Linebacker Peyton Wilson bailed the team out with a historic sprint ski to chase Addison down, but that doesn't erase the problem. After the game, defensive coordinator Terrell Austin took the blame, admitting it came down to communication breakdowns in what is one of the most complicated defensive schemes in the league. And that's the frustrating part. This isn't a new issue. We've seen these same breakdowns dating back to 2024. If Pro Bowlers and veterans like Slay, Chuck Clark, and Juwan Thornhill are all getting confused on assignments, maybe the scheme is just too complex. Some of you are already saying it. This feels like a Mike Tomlin issue. Austin may be the one calling the plays, but multiple insiders insist Tomlin has a heavy hand in the defensive scheme, and that this has been his philosophy for years. So how do these two stories connect? The good news about the returning starters and the bad news about defensive confusion? Simple. Getting Porter Jr., Highsmith, and Warren back gives this team the talent it needs. But if the communication issues don't get fixed, no amount of talent will save them in the long run. We saw what happened against the Vikings. One missed assignment, and suddenly a game that looked like a blowout turned into a nail-biter. Against teams like the Ravens, Bengals, and Chiefs, those kinds of breakdowns will lose you the game, period. The Steelers are 3-1, leading the AFC North and heading into a rivalry matchup against the Browns with momentum and reinforcements on the way. That's the good news. The challenge is making sure the mistakes don't cancel out the gains. Because if this team can clean up its defensive communication and get Porter Jr., Highsmith, and Warren back on the field, Steelers Nation, we might just be looking at a group that can make serious noise in the AFC. At the end of the 2024 season, the Steelers' defense collapsed. It wasn't because of talent. It wasn't because the team didn't have stars. It was because of one thing: communication issues. Missed assignments, blown coverages, guys looking at each other after a play, pointing fingers, asking, "What happened?" Those mistakes piled up and sent the team into a brutal losing streak that destroyed what had been a promising year. And what did the front office do in the offseason? They made big changes. They moved pieces around. They brought in new blood. The expectation was clear: no more communication breakdowns. This defense was supposed to get back to being one of the most feared units in the NFL. But here we are, 4 weeks into the 2025 season, and the same problem is still staring us in the face. Let me throw this number at you: 404.8. Yards per game allowed. That's the average the Steelers' defense has given up through the first 4 games. Does that sound like a defense featuring T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Joey Porter Jr., Alex Highsmith, and Jalen Ramsey when healthy? Not even close. This team has way too much talent to be giving up that many yards, and yet the results don't lie.
We've seen receivers running wide open. We've seen safeties and corners not on the same page. We've seen linebackers dropping into zones with nobody nearby. It's not just 1 or 2 plays, it's a pattern. Former Steelers defensive lineman Chris Hoke went on 93.7 The Fan this week and didn't hold back. He said exactly what all of us have been thinking. There should be no communication issues, Hoke said. Everybody should be on the same page. It's happening far too often where the Steelers' defense, not everybody is on the same page. And he's right. For a team that prides itself on discipline, toughness, and execution, there's simply no excuse for these mental breakdowns. For Steelers fans, hearing this criticism is like déjà vu, and not the good kind. We all remember the disaster at the end of last season. Patrick Queen and Deshaun Elliott openly called out teammates for being out of position and not doing their jobs. Those words stung then, and they sting now, because here we are again talking about the same thing. You don't want to see division in the locker room. You don't want to see players frustrated. But when the communication breaks down, that frustration boils over. And now Hoke is confirming what our eyes have been telling us. This isn't fixed. Not yet. So what's causing this? Some of it can be chalked up to new faces trying to learn the system. We've seen veterans like Darius Slay, Chuck Clark, and Juwan Thornhill playing major roles in the secondary. All talented guys, but all new to this defense. Still, after 4 games, that excuse doesn't hold up anymore. These aren't rookies. These are proven pros. And the job of the coaching staff is to make sure the defense functions as one unit. That leads us to the real question: is this a player problem or a coaching problem? All eyes now turn to defensive coordinator Terrell Austin. He's been at the helm for several seasons, and the communication breakdowns have never truly gone away. The scheme is complicated, everyone knows that. Mike Tomlin himself has always favored a defense that throws complex looks at quarterbacks. But complexity means nothing if your players don't know their assignments. At some point, you have to simplify. As Hoke said, if there's one thing that the Steelers need to work on this bye week, it's communication. It's everybody getting on the same page, everybody running the same defense. That's it. That's the job. Let's not sugarcoat this. If the defense doesn't fix this problem, the Steelers' season could unravel fast. The AFC North is stacked. The Browns, Ravens, and Bengals all have explosive offenses. You think Joe Burrow won't pick apart a secondary that leaves guys wide open? You think Lamar Jackson won't exploit missed assignments? If Pittsburgh wants to be taken seriously as a contender, the defense can't just be good, it has to be great. It has to be the backbone of this team. Right now, it's not, and that's a massive problem. Here's the silver lining. The timing is perfect. The bye week gives the Steelers a chance to hit pause, reset, and address this glaring issue before it sinks the season. This is the moment for leaders like T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, when healthy, to step up in the locker room. It's the moment for Terrell Austin to simplify the playbook. It's the moment for Mike Tomlin to put his stamp on fixing the problem once and for all. Because if we get to Week 6 against the Browns and we're still seeing these same communication breakdowns, Steelers Nation, it's going to be a long, frustrating season. So here's the bottom line. 3 starters could return in Week 6. Joey Porter Jr., Alex Highsmith, and Jaylen Warren. Their returns could stabilize both sides of the ball, giving the Steelers balance, depth, and firepower. But until the defense simplifies things and stops blowing coverages, this team will still be living dangerously. Steelers Nation, I want to hear from you. Do you think these 3 returning starters are enough to push this team into the next gear? Or do you think the real issue is with the defensive scheme, and that even with reinforcements, the same problems will keep popping up? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I'll be reading through and responding to as many as I can. And once again, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We've got a long season ahead, and I'll be right here breaking it all down with you. Here we go, Steelers Nation. Big things might be coming after the bye.